Happy holidays, season's greetings. Merry Christmas to everybody out there around the world. Whether it's morning, evening, or afternoon, where you are, it's good to be here with you and spending another Noel evening enjoying a little Yuletide cheer. You know, we don't get to do this very often, and with more people stuck at home like they are this holiday season, it's only apropos that we do a little holiday festivity. Engage in a little holiday cheer. And joining me, of course, are my wonderful friends, my brother, in fact, and his girlfriend. Caleb and Charlotte and I are live here for a Hanks Brothers Christmas extravaganza. You know, it's kind of interesting to have the Hanks brothers and, of course, the lovely lady Charlotte here with us. How you guys doing? And Merry Christmas to you.
Wyatt, I am rolling.
Yeah.
Doing great. Freezing my ass off. I can say ass, right?
You can say that.
Okay.
I think it's totally fine to say that. You know, here's the thing. It is frigid right now where we are in Appalachia. You know, I'm laughing because there are such Frasier Crane vibes going on right now.
It's only fitting.
I'm Dr. Frasier Crane. I'm
Good.
listening.
Let me put a little backstory to that, though. Number one, Merry Christmas, everybody. 2020 is almost over. Take that for what it is. There's no telling what 2021 is going to be like. But thank you for coming to the Hanks Brothers Christmas extravaganza. But the Frasier connection started a long while back when I just fell in love with the show Cheers and the show Frasier, and I kept thinking Frasier is so entertaining, but it's very entertaining to me because I realized that Micah is Frasier Crane. And I kept saying to Micah, I was like, you have to watch the show because it may or may not actually be you, and I may or may not actually be Niles. And then Charlotte, my girlfriend, on our first date, Charlotte is a therapist, so she was obviously...
So she's actually Frasier Crane.
Yeah, she
I just need to sprout a bigger forehead here.
No. If you do that, there'll be no more room left for Caleb and I. It's terrible. Yeah.
On Charlotte and my first date, we were just talking about media that we enjoyed, and Charlotte said, "But what about Frasier? Have you seen Frasier?" And I was like, I feel like this is gonna work here. So that was Frasier's probably my all-time favorite sitcom. The writing is still unparalleled as far as I'm concerned. And if you don't like Frasier, well, you just don't have any class. So.
Well, you know, the thing is, Kelsey Grammer, he shows up in so many interesting places. I saw him recently in, what was the Stallone film, The Expendables?
Yeah.
Right? He shows up in that also. I mean, he's literally everywhere. The older I get, by the way, again, you know, I've also got my glasses on because, you know, you finally get glasses so that you don't have eye strain. And then you realize, gosh, you know, I don't want to ever take them off because now I can see things. I realize trees have leaves, incredible things like that. Although before we move on, I mean, I should ask Charlotte, do you really have anything? Do you want to add anything to Caleb's comments there about the Frasier indulging? I don't know. You guys, you got me totally hooked to the show. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore.
Well, no, it's totally
on
true. It just it has been kind of an omnipresent thing, and just kind of spills into all aspects. I know we're watching it, and something happens, and I'm like, I know I've heard both you and Micah talk about this in the same way. But yeah, I mean, just a segue into the Star Wars stuff. I mean, you know, Kelsey Grammer could have easily been, you know, in that world. You know,
Yeah,
so to speak.
he was supposed to be
Has he
Han
not?
Solo.
He was supposed to be Han Solo.
He like tried out for the role of Han Solo or
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. All right. You're going to have to fill me in on this. So how did that happen?
I don't know. He just read for the part.
Right.
Hey, can I?
He turned it down.
Yeah, he turned it. No. I think they passed on him, but he had read for the part. But can I just say real quick? 2020 is coming to an end. 2020 is coming to an end. I remember getting into this year and just being like, man, I really feel like this is going to be the year. And in a lot of ways, for me, at least, it was. For a lot of people, it's been filled with disaster and it's not been great. But what
I was going to say, it's on you, friend.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say is the Hanks Brothers Christmas extravaganza has not happened for quite some time. And that's because we were trying to figure out how to stream.
Yeah. Okay. The full story. Yeah, I guess we could back up here for a moment. Many moons ago, and I often point out, I actually started podcasting right around the same time that Joe Rogan did. Joe, of course, has taken off and has really done great things with it. I'm still, kind of doing the, I don't know, what is it, like bootstrap to shoe leather kind of a, version of all that. And so, but here I am in my bunker, below ground, and still very thankful for just being able to do this. Technology is incredible. And I've seen so many stories with regard to 2020, people having to stay at home, spend more time at home rather than being able to be out with their families, being able to be in the company of their loved ones. Thank God for FaceTime. Thank goodness for Skype. Thank goodness for Zoom. We're able to stay in touch and remain more informed in the midst of some of the challenges that the pandemic has brought. So, that's a very good thing. But it's sort of self-reflective for me looking back, right, on technology and thinking about, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, when I first started doing this. I mean, Caleb and I were sitting in a room, I think in your house or my house, live streaming on Ustream, and there were 6 people listening. And
I don't even know what year that was.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and people were calling in, and we'll actually open the phone lines here because, yet again, the marvels of technology. People are more connected now, maybe than ever before. Certainly more than they were 10 years ago when we first started trying these. And every few years we actually do a Hanks Brothers Christmas extravaganza. But we called our friend Don Lewis, a wonderful musician here in Asheville. Got him on the telephone, and he had his mandolin, and he's performing a Christmas song, and it was a magical moment. Right? Even as limited as that was nowadays, anybody who's got a laptop and, some spare time, you can stream, you can reach the whole world and hit a global audience. And,
anybody's got a laptop in 14 hours to figure out how to get the stream to work.
Okay. Yes. But so tonight we thought we had this all down to a science because we've done it before, but everything changes. There's that old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Apparently at the rate of technology, at the rate of improvement, right? You can't keep up anymore. Everything's always different. So we log on. We're going to do like a Google Hangouts to air. What's a Google Hangouts to air? That's not a thing anymore.
That's not a thing anymore. So
yeah, so here we are, unfortunately not able to engage in that way. All the better for it, though. Thanks to the fine folks at Restream, able to carry out this broadcast. Now, also for folks at home, if you're stuck at home, if you're snowed in, if the family has gone home, if you and your bottle of wine are alone and it's Christmas night and something's on your mind, you can actually join us. We have the phone lines open right here and we can take calls. The number to reach the program is 828-398-4886. That is 828-398-4886. The rules of the program are, even though I don't think the FCC is moderating this, we ask, please, of course, keep it clean, although you can be as humorous as you want to, but also only call one time. You get one call, and we'd prefer that you keep it in the spirit of the season with whatever you bring up. So again, that number, 828-398-4886. We would love to hear from you, hear what is on your mind. Charlotte, I want to know what's on your mind, too, since you are the new addition joining the Hanks brothers here for a Christmas extravaganza. You've also put up with us all day, and you've seen how we are with our family. You've heard our attempts at singing Eagles songs, if we can keep our guitars in tune and the way that we do this. But did you get everything other than spending a day with the Hanks family that you wanted for Christmas?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think the most noteworthy thing was just, your pops picking us up, from the house, even though the roads were kind of disastrous, so that was really special,
Yeah. I mean, that aspect of it, I have to say too, we hadn't expected, they said we might have a white Christmas. I don't think anybody expected though, that it would be a monsoon until about 9 p.m. last night. And then all of a sudden when I thought the rain had stopped, I'm like, oh, yeah. It was really a storm. I look out the window and it's like, oh, and now everything's white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was quite a surprise. And hence a lot of icicles, icy roads. Initially I thought I'm going to be staying at home on Christmas, and Dad's like, no, we'll load up the truck. So I'm getting my mask ready. Again, it's the new norm in 2020. Everybody's got to be safe and
Mhm.
take the proper precautions. So I'm putting my mask on and getting everything ready to load out into his truck, which is large enough that you can actually space out if you need to. You're going to space out whether you want to or not on a
Yeah,
car
I
ride with
mean,
Daddy Hanks, right? So, but
spend the year of maneuvering, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And again, navigating the icy roads, and there were a couple of hairy areas, I have to say, hairy and icy. I mean, especially in the neighborhood where the two of you live. Caleb, what are you doing over there? Spotlight on you,
I know
buddy.
it seems like I'm texting, but I'm actually trying to get people to call on the show right now. So
Oh,
I'm working for the Crimbus Extravaganza. I'm just doing a small post from the only social media that I have, which no one knows about unless they listen to your show. But I'm gonna try, and if people are awake, maybe they'll call it.
yeah, well, it's about time for a word from our sponsors, and I want to thank the fine folks there at Scent of Squatch Soap. If you've ever been out there in the forest and worried about whether other woodland creatures are able to smell you, Scent of Squatch Soap can help you with this because it's all about blending in with your environment. Now, friends, I know many of you want to smell your very best. You want to be able to put forward your best face. When you're out there in the woods, it's a slightly different situation, and you can't do that if you smell wonderful. If you smell like the latest from JCPenney's, okay, if you spend a night downtown, whether it be in the drunk tank or if you've been shopping. So Scent of Squatch Soap is going to be able to help you because with that, you too will be able to smell worse than a skunk ape. You can find out more about that online. I don't have the website available, but I'm sure if you use your imagination, you could probably find that. Scent of Squatch Soap, ladies and gentlemen, probably going to help you out. I don't know. I can't say I've tried it, but it may be useful. Now, for a holiday stocking stuffer, it would be perfect, I would think, right? Many of us, Caleb, our mom, probably buys us soap, socks. Oh, gosh, there's Sasquatch on my socks as well. I need some of that Scent of Squatch soap in my in my stocking. I haven't actually had a real stocking stuffed in years, but I will tell you this.
Well, there's apps for that.
Oh, yeah. But I actually was thrilled though. We got to the gathering today, and it wasn't an actual stocking.
Hey, we got people in the chat. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh yes, that's right. Of course, the chat. I should mention that there are other ways that
Hello, world.
That's right. You can join us, Tim, Owen, Bobby there, Yaz also, and Mark. Thanks all of you guys for joining us there in the chat. I should have mentioned that. So in addition, for those who are listening to the live stream or tuning in and watching us, if you want to join us, you can call into the program, but we also have a chat. And as time allows, we will try to jump in here and address the chat. By the way, Bobby J, I presume that's Bobby Justice, a longtime friend of mine. We actually went to school many moons ago. He says, Bobby, or rather Bobby says, Micah, it's Bobby. I miss you, brother. Hope you had a blessed Christmas. I think Bobby reached out a while back, and I've been so dang busy. I've been meaning to get in touch with him and about 8 other people. So, Bobby, likewise to you, brother, and Merry Christmas. Who else have we got in here? Yaz from New Zealand, right? Hi from New Zealand. I've been listening to you for years. I had no clue what you look like until just now. Well, I am so sorry to frighten you. I'm sure it must be quite a startling experience. Mark over here says, interested in time travel. I can show you how. Well,
I guess I'll have to talk to the folks on the YouTube chat.
Oh, we have one of those too. Wow, it's just all over the place.
I guess so.
I have to ask Mark. Mark, did you steal my TARDIS again? Because if you want to tell me about time travel, you must have my TARDIS. Also, Rick says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Rick. Merry Christmas to all you guys out there. Oh, and one more here. Tim Owen also says, Merry Christmas from Australia. Lots of folks tuning in down under. Of course, I guess it's morning down there and a day later. We still have 15 minutes left. Left in the actual date of Christmas.
They have their Boxing Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Boxing Day. Charlotte, you want to tell us what that is?
That's where you punch people in the face, after having to be so nice to them the previous day, right?
Exactly. That's when everybody becomes Muhammad Ali for one day, and you can kind of do whatever you want, and everything's legal. Everything's legal. Just hit people.
I see. In my own mind, though, I'm Muhammad Ali every day, and I enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, it was a very good day, I think, for Christmas. Apart from the fact, again, getting to a little news here, we had also this explosion, a very explosive event because it involved a bomb in Nashville. I don't have all the details about this. We have friends in Nashville, of course, though. A lot of them, in fact, Jeremy London. We've got, Justin from Three Doors Down. A lot of other folks too who live right there in Music City. That always is concerning when you hear about something like that on a holiday. And so I woke up this morning and, I'm having my coffee still and I'm seeing the news about a bomb squad being called in. So that's always concerning, although I've seen updates throughout the day, of course, and a lot of folks, of course, also saying a valiant effort on a holiday, the kind of thing that you don't want to have, but you're very glad that you have, of course, when you see it actually take place. And again, our heart goes out to anybody who's been affected by that in Nashville.
Mhm.
People who've been affected by the weather, people who've been affected by the pandemic. It's just been a weird year. On that note, 2020, a year of all years. A lot of people hoping maybe we will never have to have another year like this. Others just ready for 2021. I'm hoping 2021 is going to be better than what we've seen over the last few months. It's definitely been a challenge for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I mean, Kristen Wiig on Saturday Night Live the other night had her monologue, and she was talking about how, guys, 2021's coming, and as soon as 21 starts, everything's going to change. Everything's going to be different. And the sad reality is we want to lump it into the category that, 2020 is just this real bad stint of time. But the reality is things could get better. Things could get worse. We don't know. But, we obviously take it from a guy that has no authority on anything. We just have to stick together. We have to be safe and do what's right. But Jesus Christ, I mean, it's been an insane year. It's been an absolutely crazy year, and the fact that we have made it through it, I think, only stands testament to how tough we actually are, how strong we actually are as a society. And I'm happy that we're all still here. I'm happy that we could be a part of the Crimbus Extravaganza once more, and not to mention, we're reviving it, baby. It's back.
It is good to be here again. This has been a challenging year, and I would just warn people at home: don't expect, New Year's Day, January 1st rolls around, everything is all of a sudden all better. I mean, I think as far as the pandemic, of course, we've got a little ways to go with this. But it also is a reminder that no matter how bad things get, a lot of the time it really has to do with how you see things, how you, again, roll with those proverbial punches. That's a very important thing. Charlotte, I know actually you work in a industry, well, I should say in a profession where it's all about your mindset and having the right kind of a mindset about things. I think that does help. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, by the way, mentioning that in your profession. Is that okay?
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. I don't think I have anyone that I meet with listening in right now. But it's just all about that,
account, honey.
No, it's just like, oh, great. I get to see my therapist again. But you just get into this growth mindset. I think that's a term that's floating around now in pop psychology. Just looking at acceptance, working with what cards you have, And speaking of cards, I have a tarot deck here. If we want to decide what the fate is for next year.
Really? Mm-hmm. How interesting. I didn't know that you did the tarot thing. Oh, wow. Look, we're all over the place, guys. Bam. Look at that. Crazy.
We're like Voltron.
Yes. Now suddenly we there for a moment turned into a tarot spread. That's interesting that you have a tarot card deck there with you.
She's a witty woman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that interests me a lot because, I see tarot as a very interesting sort of psychological tool in terms of being able to, kind of, it helps you to actualize things that are happening maybe in your own mind and maybe sometimes bring reason to or order to the disorder of your own thoughts.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all have our own, belief system and kind of our own, libraries in our heads, so to speak. And I don't really see anything witchy about this. I don't really believe in the magic qualities that some people do. It's just really a means of accessing your own, source of strength there, So it's just kind of a means of reduction,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, hope everybody is doing great at home. And Caleb, by the way, is manning the chat there, which we will be monitoring, throughout the evening. Back to the tarot thing again, Charlotte, something else that's interesting to me again is the archetypal side of that. Man, I got to tell you guys, I think maybe it's, again, pandemic dreams. I've read some reports about this, people who experience the so-called pandemic dream phenomena. In other words, that there is so much going on right now in the world, so much stress, everybody trying to cope with the everyday, that it really affects your dreams. Some people, it actually keeps them awake at night. But man, I have had some of the funkiest dreams the last few months. And I mean, I can't say that I haven't enjoyed them. Not that kind of dream. Get your mind out of the gutter. Quit that. I mean, truly, there have been some very interesting dreams that have been, to me, highly instructive about things happening in the world, happening in my own life. And I actually am very thankful that, and again, relating this to tarot, I mean, that might be one way that you can actualize things and kind of, create order of what's happening in your mind and improve your life overall. For me, again, dreams do that. And I have, in recent days, in fact, had dreams that literally I wake up and I'm like, man, I have to just sit there, have my coffee, and just think for about maybe half an hour and just kind of go over everything. And it really gives you a unique opportunity to, kind of realign yourself, kind of find your center, find your sense of balance as far as where you are in the world and what you're thinking. And I've often compared dreams to virtual reality. And for me, it's kind of interesting because, I'm very interested also in real virtual reality. Caleb and I, we talk a lot about, the simulated universe. And I think Caleb is frozen right there. It literally it finally got so cold that Caleb actually.
Oh, God. I hope it's a super unflattering freeze too.
Yeah, it was. Caleb, I was going to ask you, by the way, though, apart from it being so chilly, with regard to virtual reality, that's another technology that we seem to be right on. I mean, it's already happening, but I mean, despite some of the setbacks of 2020, technologically, man, we are going forward. We seem to be moving further and further toward not only virtual reality and also augmented reality, which is kind of a different thing, but also the sort of similar, the idea of this Internet of Things, where essentially everything around us in the environment is capable of being accessed via the World Wide Web. I mean, I'm thinking about when you combine some of these things, where not only is reality virtualized, but you're augmenting the real world with this virtual overlay, and you can also tap into the internet via machines, objects, toasters, refrigerators, pencils, whatever around you. I mean, we're really heading in a direction where I wonder if we are going to get to a point. We've had this conversation many times. Are we going to get to a point where the lines between the virtual reality and the real reality are so blurred that we won't be able to tell the difference anymore?
I honestly think it's an inevitability, but I don't know that we're going to see it necessarily in our lifetime. Obviously, we've talked about on your show before the whole like Elon Musk Neuralink kind of thing going on, and that becoming essentially something that pretty much anybody can buy and also have just drilled into their head and potentially be able to have internet access in their brain and all kinds of different stuff. So I like I said before, there's kind of no way to predict exactly where all of that is going and how exactly that's going to manifest. But something that I've said time and time again is the human mind and the human consciousness is so much more powerful than we notice on a daily basis, and so much more powerful than we give it credit for. And something that I've been taking a huge interest in recently are the studies of Russell Targ and his government funded project where they looked into the abilities of ESP in people that were, potentially talented in the subject or just had absolutely no, previous, studies in ESP or anything like that. And just how bizarre it is that seemingly anyone can actually kind of unlock this ability to kind of communicate with their mind and see into the future or see into the past or all kinds of different stuff like that. And I feel like when you look at stuff like that in accordance with the singularity or the idea of a singularity, it's kind of like this. It's like two different schools, but I've been thinking about a lot lately the idea of maybe the machine, although detrimental to humanity in certain ways, like, social media can really be a kind of just like a breeding ground for just argumentative bullshit.
Yeah.
But
What you don't say.
But
it ain't so.
I kind of feel like the singularity that may be coming is not just this technological overthrow. It might actually just be this integration of the human mind and technology helping the human mind kind of grow and become this 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 web, this net of interconnectivity that we don't see quite yet. And if that's the way it's going, and I as an optimist have to say I think it really is, but I think that there's a lot that we can do technologically leading up to this that helps the transition not be so scary. And one of those things is how we develop artificial intelligence, because how we develop an artificial intelligence is that can go in so many different ways. And I think that we really truly have to be careful how exactly that comes about, because I don't necessarily think that artificial intelligence is a bad thing. I don't think it needs to be this thing that we have to be afraid of. But if we're not careful with it, it could be something incredibly terrifying. But I think that the only way to, solidify our existence on this planet is to merge technologically, because I think that technology and artificial intelligence at some point is just going to become so goddamn powerful. We like, what are we going to say about it? What it's going to think so far beyond where we are. So anyway, that was a big tirade. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, Caleb keeps freezing up. I'm not sure why, but yeah. I was going to also mention, though, by the way, my brother Brett Tingley jumped in the chat right there. He says, I thought this was the Hambone live stream.
It is the Hambone live stream.
Yeah. How do you even reply to that? Where do you go?
Well, here's the thing. I said to my mom today, I said, Mom, if you quit spending so much time on YouTube watching Gary Busey do Hambone, right? Which I wasn't kidding. I mean, because, well, I don't know. She watches those videos. I mean, I love watching Gary Busey doing Hambone, but in the particular video I'm referencing, it's not just Hambone. There's a little eefing in there also, okay?
The lost art.
Yeah, I didn't even know what eefing was until my brother, here also a fellow scholar of Appalachian heritage, brought this to my attention. Caleb, I think your video is unfrozen now. And
dear God, thanks.
Yes,
internet.
And we've got a warm Brett Tingley up right there, who is listening in. I'm sure after a wonderful day back up there in the hills. He lives kind of close to us here on the other end of the county, at least. So, Brett, brother, great to hear from you, man, and all you folks out there. By the way, lots of folks filling in there in the chat room. And, of course, we've also got folks who are listening online and who are commenting on Twitter. And if you would like to call into the program, that old school method of reaching us, that traditional technique, of course, dial, whether from a landline, from a cordless phone, you can even use a cell phone. We're going to open the lines to everybody tonight. West of the Rockies, if you are listening, try calling from a phone. East of the Rockies, you may also try calling from a phone, but it's going to help if you dial this number. That would be 828-398-4886. Wild card line, I'll just say also there is a wonderful little diner, okay, in a town called Turlock. You'll know it because it's the only one that's there. And if you find it, the cherry pie there will literally kill you. That number again is 828-398-4886. I think that's all the information for our callers that they're going to need tonight, and probably more than they would ever have wanted. 828-398-4886. And of course, also jump in there in the chat room with us if you'd like to comment. Now, the conversation is completely derailed at this point.
Yeah, let's talk about the Mandalorian.
I didn't want to get around to that.
No. What I will say though is, if we do discuss anything, I think that we can kind of keep it within this bracket. Let's not go spoiler. I don't want to have to get consent from everybody in the chat. I do not want to spoil the Mandalorian for people that are Star Wars fans. If you don't care about Star Wars, then you don't care. That's
you mean
fine.
You don't want to have to get consent from everybody on the internet? Yes,
that's true.
Now, that's another, well, actually, you might as well go in that direction. Gosh, we're moving fast, but our time is limited tonight. And in fact, actually, I think we just missed a phone call. So let me see here.
Here, you take the phone call. I will return shortly.
You return when you can. Yeah, if you are trying to reach us and we haven't gotten to you, we will get to those phone lines here in a moment. Try calling in again. That is 828-398-4886. Keep calling. We will either get to you when you are available or we will bring you in on the call, and you may be on hold for a moment. So if you hear us talking but you don't join the conversation immediately, just hang tight. We'll bring you in here in a moment. But yes, I think we've already got some folks lining up. So those of you who want to get in on the calls tonight, actually, we got enough of them. I'm going to go ahead and go to the calls. We should do that right now. Okay, let's start. We're going to do this via area code. So folks calling in from area code, we will address your area code. That's how you know we're talking to you. And we're going to go to 320. You're live with us here on the Hanks Brothers Christmas Extravaganza. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
And yes, who are we talking with?
Troy.
Hi, Troy. So what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I never got into podcasts in the past or any of this stuff, and Micah changed my life, man.
Well, thank you very much. You're changing our life right now, Troy, by calling into the program and being a part of this Christmas tradition. That means a lot. Have you had a good 2020? I hope it has been.
Well, it was 2020.
Yeah.
Did anybody have a good one?
Good question.
But I wasn't even sure if I was watching this live. I apologize. That little holiday cheer.
Hey, that's okay. Nothing to apologize, by the way. I think we may, in fact, all have a little holiday cheer here with us as well. So, yeah.
I can't believe I'm actually talking to you, man. I just want to say thank you. I was going to leave a message or whatever, however this worked. But thank you.
Well, that again,
you're amazing.
Well, no, you are amazing, Troy. Again, this was kind of a last minute thing, and it was something that we ended up doing a whole lot more troubleshooting, Caleb and I, trying to make sure it would actually work. But I have to say,
I seen the video. The video was a little rough, I noticed, but yeah,
that's okay.
It's going good.
Yeah. Well, it's fun, and you just sometimes got to get out there and do it. You look at guys like Joe Rogan, though. I mean, they do this every week, every show.
Oh.
They have the.
Yep.
I don't have the benefit of not being on, or rather I do have the benefit of not being on camera every time I get behind the microphone. I think what works so well with his situation is that it is so organic, just like this. So again, calling in, Christmas cheer, the whole 9 yards. Now, if I may ask, where are you calling from? I know it's 320, your area code. What part of the states are you in?
I'm calling from Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay, cool. So it's really cold up there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was worse yesterday, but yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah, I could probably tell by the accent. So, well, listen, do you have a holiday message for anybody, Troy, that you want to?
What accent? Everybody keeps saying that.
I know. I always say the same thing when people come down here. They say, where are you from, Micah? That accent of yours. And I say, what accent? I don't know. I don't detect an accent. So what's your holiday message for everybody, Troy? Go ahead.
Holiday message. Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't have like this picture perfect family like on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. But you know what? The world is good. It's all still good.
It is. Yeah. I think that's one of the great things about Christmas is that we all realize the things that we do have to be thankful for, even in a year like 2020. So, hey, we're thankful for you.
I apologize. I've had a couple of drinks.
That's okay, brother. That is quite all. In fact, it is expected. So, all right, Troy, listen, thank you very much for calling in, man. I want to try and get to some other callers here, but thank you for calling in, being a part of this. Great to talk to you, man. And you keep on keeping on. 2021 is going to be even better. Okay, brother?
Thank you.
All right. Good night, my man. Excellent. Thank you, Troy. Again, that number is 828-398-4886 if you want to call into the program. And, of course, jump in the chat room there if you'd like to. And, by the way, we have in the chat room right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never been in the presence of greatness, you're about to be, because the Raging Cajun, the one and the only, Lash Larue, my brother, down there a little further south in the Larue Bayou, he has jumped in there in the chat room to say Merry Christmas. And Lash, look, if you do get a moment, we seldom get to talk, and that's usually my fault because it's my schedule. So if you're able to call in, we'd love to hear from you too. And anyone else out there, of course, who was able to jump in like Troy did. Christmas, Caleb, this year was something that I both enjoyed and also needed because 2020 for me has been so busy. I needed a day off. Caleb, how do you feel about awkward silence, by the way?
Yeah. Hey, still figuring out the new streaming service thing, my
That's
boss.
all right. That's okay. You're a champion. He's a legendary champion, folks.
For a throw together, it's actually doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But 2020 has been insane because I was a full-time musician, and then it's just like, oh, hi, Corona. And then literally all the work shuts off. So yeah, I mean, I've worked harder than I've ever worked in my life and started 2 businesses. And hopefully this is going to kind of, get me out of the traveling musician thing, because as much as I enjoy the wild and wacky adventures that has taken me on, I've literally been in a van traveling since I was 15 years old, and I could not be more happy about staying home a little bit. And I will say, being the quintessential optimist, at least with the whole coronavirus situation in 2020, that has been a thing that I am grateful for, is that I've been able to stay home and spend time with the people that I love a little bit more. So that was kind of a wonderful thing for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly something that I think a lot of people have seen as far as benefit from 2020. Being able to be at home more. I've talked with a lot of people whose jobs, their normal job, right, which requires them maybe to commute and spend a lot of time away from home. With it now becoming the new standard that you work from home, many have adapted to that. And look, let's face it, not everybody wants to work from home, but a lot of people are like, not only do I enjoy it, right, but I mean, I'm actually more productive. I read a study, by the way, that showed in 2020, more people, especially, I guess, millennial aged people, they tend to, in Charlotte, this is probably something that you can speak to in, again, the therapeutic profession. I've seen a lot of people seem to, and again, studies seem to suggest that people are working more now that they are actually stuck at home, because I guess you remove that commute time, people are going to jump on the computer, they're going to work. Some people may be working more in order to try and offset some of the anxiety or the stress of what's happening in the world. Now, I realize that in that regard, working more may not necessarily always be healthy, but I mean, you might say that in many ways, people have been more productive as a result of the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. And I can say on a personal note that I absolutely have suffered from procrastination in my own life and professional life. And, I was afraid of working from home, and, it turns out that I rock at it, and but the thing is, it's changing, the semantics of that statement from working from home to working with home. So looking at cooperation and integrating things in that way. This is an opportunity for people to look at addressing boundaries with coworkers and your boss or whoever, and kind of figuring out reworking things to be more functional, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, it totally does. It absolutely does. One thing I think a lot of people are also doing, spending more time at home during the pandemic, is they're getting caught up on The Mandalorian or other streaming shows. Or I know you two have been playing Fortnite. I don't have time to play video games. I could make
that's what we do to wind down. See, in your 20s, you spend a lot of time at the bar and you waste a lot of money. In your 30s, you're like, ooh, this video game is free. and then you realize that your other friends are playing this free game. And I honestly, I love adventure, but I don't always have the gumption to get out and go on a big long hike and this stuff, and you don't always have that time. And I found that video games are these incredible pieces of art. They really are, sonically and visually and gameplay and experience wise. They truly can be they can truly transport you into different places. And when you don't have time to go off an adventure, and when you don't have the money sometimes to go off an adventure, man, video games really just opened up that world for me. And I pulled Charlotte into that too. And I was like, honey, I know you haven't really played too many games, but there's this game called Fart Night, and you really try to play it.
I think I'm familiar with this game. I know how this goes. That's immediately after a big holiday dinner at Ma's, right?
It's
No?
it's after the Hanks Brothers Christmas Borscht.
Okay, gotcha.
But and before we go off, I really do, and I don't want to go into Mandalorian world because I don't want to potentially spoil anything for anybody. But
Just don't talk about all the awesome stuff. Just
yeah, just don't talk about the show at all. That's
just
fine.
be very general, you know.
Well, Micah, when you and I were kids, and we were 80s kids, which I wear that as a badge of honor, honestly. That like I felt like you and I got to enjoy technology from its infancy and now going into some really, really bizarre territories, which is like AR, augmented reality stuff. That I feel like the future of that is just it's in its infancy. But Micah, I remember you and I had the regular Nintendo system, the NES, and we had Legend of Zelda. And that game for its time was like the closest thing to Dungeons and Dragons that you could get.
Took you to a whole nother place.
It did, man. It took you to a whole nother place. And I have to say, like, Nintendo has kind of had its ups and downs throughout the years, or so I've heard, because I took a huge break from the whole gaming thing for a long time. But when I got back into it, I started playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And Micah, one day I'm gonna just get you a Nintendo Switch so you can play this game, because it is one of the largest open world games I've ever played. It is such an incredible world that they built that it's I think the game is 3 or 4 years old, and they are still finding Easter eggs. They're still finding different ways to play the game. I mean, it is absolutely insane. So it just makes me very happy that gaming is moving towards this kind of, I don't want to say trend, but it's just kind of naturally moving towards this progression of the sense of wonder and the sense of adventure. And that is what I take away from video gaming. It's not like, hey man, I jumped on Call of Duty and shot like 60 people and it was so cool. It's like, I want to know what is over that mountain ridge. And in games like Breath of the Wild, you seriously can just see this mountain in the distance and go find a horse out in the wild and tame it and ride over to that mountain and find out what's over there. I mean, it is really, truly
like I do in the real world mind you, okay? I do that. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry about that. I think we got a call. Actually, let's go ahead and go to the
phone. I'm tired of rambling about Zelda.
We'll go to the phones here. 828, that must mean that you are someone probably very near and dear to us, or at very least very near to us. Welcome to the program. Who's calling?
What's up, Micah? It's Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey!
Bobby, my brother. How you doing, my man? How's it going?
Doing good. I just want to call and say hey, and hope y'all have a good New Year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope, 2020 has been okay for you, and your family and everybody.
The family, we've had COVID, but luckily didn't have major symptoms. So
good.
Got through it. Fortunate. I know a lot of people had, so
yeah.
Hope their families, get through it. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, how are you doing apart from the virus and everything else? You doing okay, brother?
Yeah, doing good. Just, day to day.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's what.
How's your mom and dad? Everybody good?
Our mom and dad, I am proud to report, are doing very well. Again, we were able to see them today, but we three that you see here on the camera right now, we are quarantine champions, Bobby. I have remained indoors for so long that can you tell by the lack of sunlight I've been getting?
We three queens.
Yeah, it's
a lot, it might help.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it really, well, I might have almost gotten a bit of a tan today just with the glare coming off of the snow. I stepped outside for the first time in days, and I'm like, I'm like a cat, near water or something. No, I'm kidding. But my mom and dad are doing well. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
Good. Yeah, tell them I said hello for sure. I'm messing. They're good people.
Well, likewise. So are you, brother. And again, I really appreciate you calling in, my man. And I've been meaning to get in touch with you for a while. I've been busy. I'm sure everybody at home listening probably knows.
Yeah, for sure. I know it's been crazy.
This year, I thought I was busy before this year, and this year redefined crazy for me, my man. So, but again, all the more reason I'm so glad that you were able to get in tonight and call us, Bobby. Hey, do you have any Christmas wishes or any other Christmas themed messages you want to share with anybody tonight?
Not just my family, and everyone stay safe, and we'll get through this.
We certainly will, brother. Well, thank you. And look, you keep in touch, man. I'm going to get in touch with you. I'm glad we got to talk tonight, even for just a little bit, brother. It means a lot for you calling in, and thank you again.
All right, y'all take care.
All right, take care, Bobby. Thanks, brother. Bye.
Good to see you, buddy.
I've known Bobby, by the way, that gentleman right there, since kindergarten, ladies and gents, 5 years old. It's really rare, I think, in life to be able to have a friend and to know somebody and to be able to keep in touch with them. I mean, somebody, and then you go on to another stage of life and several other somebodies, but certain people that you're able to keep in touch with, that is, I have to say, really special. Mm-hmm. And I have known Bobby for the majority of my life. Okay. Think about that. How many of us, have people that we are still in touch with, that we are able to talk with, that we've known for that long? And, again, 2020 yet again is a year that certainly puts that in perspective. Makes us very glad for being able to have that kind of relationship with people. I'm very glad to have that relationship with the two of you guys. Caleb and your cool microphone. What are they saying there in the chat room? TC is saying to you, be the new Jamie. Is that a Joe Rogan?
I think that's a Joe Rogan reference. And if that is a Joe Rogan reference, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last time I was on your show, Micah, we were talking about a project that I'm doing musically called Vin Proxima.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
I don't think there's going to be I don't think this is spoiling much, but
here it comes.
We were watching these videos with my mom and dad and the family today. That was that girls costume warehouse. Come on down to girls costume warehouse. Well, I kind of wanted to do this thing that was
hold on. You got to tell people what that's all about. They're wondering, what is Girls Costume Warehouse? What kind of a live stream is this?
It's a college humor video. Just look it up on YouTube. It's either Girls or a Girls is with an extra S, Costume Warehouse. And it's just funny. It's just funny.
Look, let me explain. Look, I got to give you some additional commentary here on this.
All right.
It's making fun. It's a video that's making fun of the fact that every Halloween costume is sexy this or sexy that, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's this guy, up in New Jersey who's got a costume warehouse. Not all our costumes are sexy, but then the next series of costumes are all sexy this, sexy that, sexy Abe Lincoln, and then finally Frog. It's brilliant cultural commentary. It's several years old by now too, I think. But again, that's what he's talking about.
So
how about me overdoing it there, Caleb?
No, that's good. People need to know. So I want to do this, like, it's almost like a bit on an old Adam Sandler comedy album where I have just like this. It just sounds like a guy and his buddies hanging out in some old back room, smoking cigars and playing cards. And he's like, this year we're going to have the best holiday extravaganza of all. This year we've got young Jamie from the Joe Rogan podcast. You heard it. We've also got Neil Diamond's ex-hairdresser. She worked with him for a total of 3.5 years. And also, I don't want to get your hopes up too high, but we got the CEO from Spam. You heard it first here, people. We've got the CEO from your favorite company, Spam. So, ladies and gentlemen, tune in. Next Friday night, you're going to get an earful of shit you never wanted.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gilbert Godfrey has left the building. To join the program by phone, in fact, You can dial 828-398-4886. That is 828-398-4886. Gilbert is totally in line with what he said, because allow me to remind you, it is safe harbor on the East Coast. And in fact, actually soon, I guess actually it will be that on the West Coast as well, since this has turned out to be a rather late night broadcast, kind of sporadic, but always enjoyable. But Caleb, you said that was one of the projects you're working on. If I may give you a shameless plug, I've been listening to these Vin Proxima tunes that you have written. This is the latest music project related to your, check it out, right here, your fantastic
cool
book, which I have right here. Yeah.
Hey, could you? So this, number one, this is kind of a historical thing, because the Hanks Brothers Crimbus Extravaganza has never had a video feed, as far as I remember.
You're not? Oh, yeah, I guess.
I don't think. Well, okay, no, actually, we did that one year with a couple of different folks, I think, but I don't think it was as haggard and seamless as this year. But hey, if you want to show people on the camera a couple of pages of the Vex comic, I'll tell them a little bit about it.
I could do that. I mean, I could look at this. I just didn't want to actually remove it from the plastic.
He just didn't want to read it.
I didn't want to get fingerprints on it, because I knew it would be a collector's item one day. So again, this is an actual physical comic book. Here, hold on. Let me do this thing. Jamie, would you do that? There we go. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jamie's a real guy. And we actually got a question in the chat. What do you think about the radio signal from Proxima Centauri? And we will get to that right after this, because we'll make this very short.
Yeah.
But if people remember me from being on Micah's program a little while back, I'm always involved in the arts, and recently I've been working on this comic book called Vex. It is a punk rock sci-fi action comedy. It's very in the world of comedy, and it is about this kid named Vex, who is a young miscreant, and his buddy OT, who is a robot with a TV screen for a head, and they get into all kinds of just weird, wacky stuff. It's 13 and up, and there's a whole soundtrack with it, which is created by Vin Proxima, which is essentially my internet band, which I'm just going to spoil too. Charlotte may or may not be in that band, and she may or may not actually sing some songs on the record. So the EP is out. You can go to vexcomic.com, and Vin Proxima, VINPROXMIA.com. Spelling is hard. And you can find all that stuff there. So if you are wondering if your teenager might want something that's almost like Tank Girl, if you guys ever remember the comic book Tank Girl, it's kind of in the same vein. And the music is very punk rock, but it's also very poppy. And I'll stop talking about it. Merry Christmas.
No. I mean, I really enjoy it so much that I'm reading it for the first time right now, Caleb. No.
It has the words emotional support possum in it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty remarkable to me that you produced a comic book. I'm used to talking about podcasts a lot, obviously. You can tell. I mean, you literally produced a physical comic book in this era where, I mean, everything is, print on demand, or it is accessible online. You made a actual comic book.
Yeah, I'm paid for it up front instead of going print on demand. So maybe we'll not do that in the future, but but I'm super happy. Like I said, I did not know how to print a comic book beforehand. I'd never finished I finished a comic book, but I never printed it before. And so I'm extremely happy about it. And they say, play to your strengths. And some people out there think I'm funny. And so I'm playing to those people.
I think you're funny. I think you're sometimes he's even intentionally funny, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, sometimes intentionally.
Yeah. This guy is brilliant. Just fantastic art, self-taught, no formal training. So, I mean, it's been really fun just watching your process and seeing, everything come to life. It's fun.
It's fun. It's not worth buying.
No, it is. And the thing is that in addition to the actual art, there's the music. And that's, one of the questions I had actually been asking. Some of the music that you have written, it's a really interesting kind of an approach, really, to do a comic book and then to write music for the comic book. Imagine 30 years ago, heck, imagine 10 years ago. I don't think that anyone would have associated a soundtrack with a comic book, an actual print comic book. I don't know, maybe you would actually know, Caleb, if anyone has actually done that before, but it's an interesting idea to me. And with the way that people consume media these days, with the way that information is digested and the way that people access it online, it's I guess the perfect time, really, right now, 2020, this year of all years, to produce something like this, a multimedia project. In other words, that's what really kind of drew my attention to it. Now, disclosure, of course, my kid brother, okay, he's doing a comic book, wonderful, and he's written some music, okay, great. Then I see the comic book and I'm like, oh, wow, you really printed this. This is incredible. And then I hear the songs and I'm like, okay, that damn music, because you walk around for days afterward, you can't get it out of your head. It just stays in there. The music's that good. It really actually gets stuck in your head, the proverbial earworm. So, I mean, you're doing a really good job with this. It's doing all the kinds of things that comic artists and musicians want. People can't stop thinking about it, or they can't stop hearing it repeating in their head. At least for me, I know that's the truth.
I appreciate you saying so, man. I mean, I think it really honestly just the whole thing comes from the fact that I can't sit still. I can't do one thing. But I think that a couple of people have done the music and the comic thing. I know Coheed and Cambria is a band that has done comics, and there's an artist named Lights. She is Canadian, and she I don't know that she records and mixes and her own music, but I think she writes a lot of her own music. But she draws her own comic book, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome, like the world she has created. But as far as artists that like make their own comic book and stuff like that, and things that are themed, I personally don't know of too many other examples, if any. But yeah, I'd done a comic book and the music related before with the Clerk Chronicles. That was it just kind of had to be in this one world. Music kind of had to sound sci-fi, comic book kind of had to sound sci-fi. And with the Vex project, I wanted to do something that was fun. I wanted to do something that was funny, and musically, I didn't want to have any restrictions on me whatsoever. And so I just literally started writing whatever songs kind of download to the mothership. When I write music, I literally, it's like I hear the chorus completely done in my head immediately. And then I just try to go to the computer and get that onto the machine as best I can, and try to get that idea to sound as much on the computer as it did in my head. And so far with the Vex comic and the Vin Proxima project, I have been having the most fun I've ever had. I feel like there's been this ball and chain lifted off my leg. And I think part of that is the fact that I'm happy. and Charlotte is in full support of me pursuing artistic endeavors. And I honestly don't think that I would have been able to just enjoy this and do this to the extent that I have if I hadn't just had somebody in my life that was, I don't know, cool and sweet. And
he's calling you out on the air.
Calling you out. You are my Merry Christmas, baby. Let me tell you that.
You two, you're going to give me a toothache. Look, I tell you what, let's do this. We've got a little longer here. It's getting kind of late, but we're going to take a short break. When we come back after this break, I want crazy Christmas stories, and I want them from you. Again, if you want to join the phone or join the program by phone, let's try that again.
Boxing Day stories, too.
Yes. Boxing Day stories, whatever's on your mind. We would like to hear those stories. The number to call in and join the program is 828-398-4886. And don't forget, right there in YouTube or also on the Restream chat, you can join us. You can share your stories right there in the chat. TC had a question about Proxima Centauri. I think we'll be getting back to that here in a moment here when we come back on the Hanks Brothers Christmas Extravaganza. Get those stories ready. I want to hear from you guys one more time. 828-398-4886. We'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, it's about time to come back and get this show on the road. We got a little longer here tonight. And out there on the West Coast, you know, it's a little past the bottom of the hour over here on the East Coast where we are in the mountains. And so everybody 3 hours or so behind us. I hope your Christmas evening is coming to a wonderful resolution. We certainly had a great time here in the Appalachian Mountains today. It is a good time, I think, of course, for everybody winding down. You have to start late on the East Coast, right? You know, because you can't compete with prime time, but also you got to wait for all the folks on the West Coast to be able to catch up and everything. My good friend, Juliet Mayella, she had written to me earlier and had wished me a Merry Christmas. You know, I have to say, you know, all the moms out there, Mayella is a mom. And the moms are the ones. What are you two doing over there? You two, I hear noise back there, backstage. You know, it's the moms out there who work so hard on the holidays. What is that noise? Hold on, we're gonna have to silence that. Live radio, ladies and gents. Live. It's, what do you call it? It's not even radio when you're actually streaming video like this.
That's the aliens coming.
That's right. That's what it is. It's the aliens. But no, in truth, the mothers, you know, the parents who are at home and who are caring for children on the holidays like this, I mean, that is an incredibly important role. And I have a lot of friends who are parents, you know, some who are single parents, you know, who convey to me that the most important thing for them after working tirelessly throughout the week is to make sure that their children are happy on Christmas. You know, Caleb, you and I, as brothers, we were very fortunate to be able to have parents who, you know, absolutely made Christmas wonderful for us. And in fact, I think, especially after days like today, I can say they still do. And hence one of the reasons that, you know, I stay indoors for 14 days at a time just to make sure, well, first of all, that I'm trying to keep up with the CDC's regulations on how long one should quarantine before a holiday. You know, but you want to be able to make sure and ensure safety and the furtherance of these kinds of family gatherings. This year has been different for everybody, and not everybody's been able to have one. And so again, it's really been, I think, challenging for a lot of folks out there, especially the parents. So I hope everybody out there who is listening tonight, I hope you guys have had a great Christmas. All you parents out there, just know that the work you do is appreciated. You know, those children, they are going to be the world of tomorrow. So anyway, I think we've got another call coming in here as evidenced by the music in the background. So we'll go ahead and get to area code. What have we got here? 256, I believe, is joining us. 256, you're with us. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Larue Bayou in Alabama.
I know that voice. Ladies and gents, we are now officially in the presence of greatness, because my brother, the Raging Cajun Lash Larue, joins us right here. The world famous pro wrestler, by the way. Anybody at home wondering if it was the same Lash Larue, you might know who you might have watched on television in decades past. And in fact, actually, you might still see on TV from time to time. Yeah, it's the very same guy and my personal hero. Lash, what are you doing, man?
Oh, go on. I mean, go on. Keep telling them how great I am.
Brother.
Now I get to be with the Hanks brothers and the lovely Charlotte. Did I get that correct? Because we have not met formally, but I'm just following along tonight.
Yeah. Oh, brother. No.
Nice
You're 100%, man. Brother, what's going on down the mountain there in the bayou?
Well, man, here is my great, unusual, strange Christmas story. I'm sitting around the house today and I'm thinking about my brother that I haven't talked to in a while. And I'm thinking we really have not had a chance to catch up. And I'm sketching around because, much like Caleb there, business has just kind of gone down from a caricature standpoint because people are not doing their live Christmas events and doing their parties and their holiday get-togethers. So I'm not doing quite as much caricaturing. And I thought to myself, I need to warm up. I need to work around it a bit. And I drew a little quick caricature of Micah there. Because I was thinking about you. I had it on my mind after we had said Merry Christmas earlier today in a quick text. I came in here doing my little nighttime workout that I do before I go to bed. And when I plank, I have to have something on YouTube to keep me distracted. And there, lo and behold, you pop up in my feed, and here we are connected. So I finished a 12-minute plank and said, I'm going to give you a call.
Oh my gosh! And and now I'm looking over here, by the way, on my messenger, and I'm just seeing the caricature that you drew. Now, listen, for those at home who do not know, in addition to being he is actually He-Man. Okay, when I finally got to meet my brother Lash in the real world, he's even bigger than he looks like on camera. But in addition to being again, a incredible. And you'll learn a lot about wrestling if you're around him. So in addition to being an incredible pro wrestler, in addition also to being a man of God and who is out there, who is engaging a congregation and working hard on that regard, he is also a very talented artist. And part of what Lash does professionally is art. And his caricatures are, I would dare say, Caleb, he might give you a run for your money as far as art goes. He is very good. So I'm looking at the caricature right now that you sent, and I hadn't seen it because we were getting this mess together, Lash. And now I'm seeing that. I got a late Christmas present, ladies and gents.
Well, hey, Caleb's a man after my own heart because we're just Renaissance men, right?
Uh-huh.
Like anything we got an interest in, you just go after, you grab it, you teach yourself, man. You become a little autodidactic about it, and you said, let me see what I can do.
Yeah,
exactly. Life would be so boring if we couldn't just follow every little thing that every little shiny thing that we wanted to follow.
Yeah, I was going to say, Caleb.
That's exactly it.
Go ahead, Lash.
The coronavirus thing of 2020 has kind of forced us into that because now we have to stretch, we have to grow, we are challenged. Well, you got to step out of your comfort zone because you're forced to. And the next thing you know, you print your own comic book.
Caleb,
really? I mean, basically, it's funny because the whole it was literally January when my buddy Wes and I started thinking like let's do this comic book together kind of thing, and it was just a couple of weeks before the coronavirus thing really started happening, and I had to look at it as a blessing because had the coronavirus thing not happened, I would have been on the road. I would have been performing all the time, and I wouldn't have had as much time to just focus on the comic and make this thing real, make the first printed book I've ever done real. So it's been a hard time, but you have to look at the bright side of it. You really do.
Absolutely. And Caleb, Lash, both of you, by the way, it's wonderful to hear the two of you talking.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Lash. I've heard about you for a really long time.
It's mutual, I promise you.
Yeah, Lash, again, you can ask Caleb. There is seldom a family gathering that comes up where I don't mention my brother down the mountain.
He definitely does.
Yeah, and I mentioned you today, in fact, too. So, but both of you guys really look at the situation, I think, right now that so many of us are in very similarly in the sense that, well, what can I do to make the best of this and maybe even come out on the other side a little better for it? And, Lash, that's something I really appreciate about you. Again, with your art, you go out, you're not only engaging the public, but, you're producing something that I think makes people happier. Kids, I know, are a big part of that. You're always involved with children, the youth programs and stuff like that. You've always been like that, man. 2020, has that hampered your ability to be out there with people as much as you like to be? Because I know you love being out there with people.
Well, exactly. And then that's the other thing that I talk about where you become a little bit of a silly putty, right? You're bending and you're stretching and you're growing and you're forced to do things that you didn't think you would have done otherwise. And yeah, that's my comfort zone. That is my wheelhouse. I want to interact with people one-on-one, but also, I want to be able to grow and I want to be creative and I want to be up to challenges and something that it's forced me to do because, if you're doing ministry right, you're not making a killing off of that. And so where the majority of a lot of my income had come was from doing live caricature work. And I would do these private events and corporate events, and they would pay me an hourly rate to show up and draw their guests. Well, now people aren't doing that, but I have also found a niche market there for doing them digital now. So
awesome.
You guys are utilizing what you're doing right now, live streaming digitally. I've done Zoom. I've done FaceTiming with people and corporations and colleges where they're still trying to have a virtual party. And I can, draw live caricatures, much like that version that I just did of you on my iPad. Draw it directly on there, stick it in a Dropbox, send them a QR code. They can scan that. It takes them to it. They pull out their their caricature there digitally, and we've done it all across the World Wide Web, if you will.
Wow. Lash, I tell you, man, you never cease to amaze me with everything that you're doing. You always got a whole lot going. I should ask you, by the way, because a little bird told me, what's going on in the world with wrestling? Can you talk about that at all?
Well, I just, funnily enough, if I can coin a phrase, funnily enough, I'll go once a year and visit an old friend of mine that's no longer with us. And his graveside there is in Marietta, Georgia. In the Atlanta area there. And he was a guy I was extremely close to when I was wrestling, and we traveled together, and you guys have done enough from a musical standpoint that you know what it's like to be on the road.
Yeah, man.
And you build a different type of camaraderie with that, because that's not a 9-to-5 job, right? That becomes a brotherhood and a sisterhood, if you will. You're just on the road with these people, and you're making life together, and you become family. And if you're on extensive tours, you see one another more than you see your family. And you become very close to one another, and you find some kindred folk. And so, to make a long story short, I'll go and visit him there at his graveside once a year, and we'll visit, the family that's left behind, and check on them and that sort of thing. And I was there with another pretty well-known guy in the wrestling business that is more on social media than I am, because, as you guys know, I'm a bit of a ghost when it comes to social media. And
I don't blame you.
while we were hanging out, killing time, I pulled out the old easel that I used for live caricature work, and I drew a quick caricature of him. And he took a photo and put it on his social media. So these wrestling fans that had not seen Lash Larue for about 10 years now are looking at a blurry Bigfoot photo of Lash Larue and wondering, where's that? So, I'll when that sort of thing will happen, it'll create a little bit of a buzz, and I'll get the proverbial, podcasters and interviewers and great people all around that are interested in catching up with me. And I was talked into doing one particular interview that I thought would be a short interview that really turned into about a 2-hour retrospective of my career. And it was nice to walk down that memory lane, but, it created a little bit of a buzz. People see a in-shape Lash Larue that they haven't seen for 10 or 15 years, and they want to know when they'll get me on TV again wrestling. But that's not my game anymore.
I keep wondering. I keep hoping, brother. I tell you, again, it was in a church, ladies and gents, where I learned the most I've ever learned about wrestling, and I learned it from this man. And fortunately, he didn't actually do a pile driver or anything like that, but, he certainly taught me a lot about wrestling, and I hope to go back and study yet again at the feet of the master. And if you go online, I'm serious, you go online, go on YouTube, look up Lash Larue. This is one of the finest guys who's ever entered the ring, in my opinion, and also a fine fellow, a dear friend of mine. And Lash, brother, I love you to death, and I certainly hope that once we have the pandemic of 2020 behind us, that I'm back down there on the road visiting you, and you and I are crawling through a cave or going in some museum looking for ancient relics like we like to do, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll definitely make that happen, and maybe even some caricature work or something will bring me up your way, man.
Yeah.
I love being up there in the Appalachian Mountains as well, and so we can get in trouble in all kinds of places.
Oh, we can, man. Yeah, trust me. If there's trouble to be had, Lash Larue and I, we're going to find it. So, all right, brother.
Yeah,
look.
You know it, man. And I won't bogart all of your time tonight, but I just wanted to pop on here and say hi to my family up there north of me, and Merry Christmas to you guys, all three of you. And it's wonderful, wonderful to meet the extended family.
Yes, indeed. Well, Lash Larue, my man, thank you. And we'll be in touch, man. You and I, we are overdue for not only a catch up, but also some good old Sherlock Holmes talk. One of our longtime favorites. I'm sure we've got a little of everything to talk about. So anyway, we're going to catch up soon. And man, a Merry Christmas to you and yours. You tell the family and everybody down there, down the mountain in the Larue Bayou that we said the very best is yet to come, and we send it your way, okay?
Hey, the feelings and wishes are mutual. Caleb, Charlotte, wonderful meeting you guys. Can't wait to see you in person.
All right. Good
Merry
night,
Christmas,
brother.
Lash.
Nice
Merry
to meet
nice to talk to you, buddy.
Merry Christmas, guys.
We'll see you, brother.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good luck. The legend himself.
See, and that's so cool for me too to hear, because he obviously has a talent, and you, Micah, have a talent that nobody knows about. Micah's a better artist than I am, but he hasn't drawn in years. When we were in high school, and Bobby Justice probably remembers this, Micah Micah is an incredible artist. He could draw anything from memory. I had to go the hard route because I had this little tiny bit of ability to kind of get to the drawing. And when I hear people like Lash talking about, he can just like bust out caricatures of people. That is not how it goes for me. It is a totally different process. It is like, okay, anatomy, skeleton, wireframe sort of thing, and then you start to kind of piece it all together. I mean, it's a highly calculated process for me, and I've always been jealous of people like Lash and Micah who can just sit down and just go, and it looks good immediately. Didn't have to sit there and draw the skeleton beforehand.
If it's any consolation at all, I am extremely jealous of people like you and Lash Larue who can just draw better than I can. So how's that?
Hey, Bobby Justice in the chat said, I draw a mean stick figure. I bet he does.
That's right. Yeah. Also, Gabby's there in the chat room, and
I know. Gleb.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see Gabby. I haven't seen her.
Hey,
since.
Gleb.
Merry Christmas, Gleb.
And of course, a few other people have tried to get in over the course of the conversation, and at various times we have missed some calls. If you have tried to get in and we haven't been able to get to you yet, keep trying. The number is 828-398-4886 if you'd like to join us by phone. Still looking for maybe a couple more Christmas stories before we wrap up. We can't go too much longer. We may only have just a few more minutes. In truth, it's almost 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. And after getting up so early, and putting the milk out for Santa and everything, yeah.
Or Krampus.
Or Krampus, yeah.
Did you leave the milk out though?
Well, it's almond.
How long can it stay out, really?
It's almond milk, or it was something that, as cold as it was. See, I don't heat my house, okay? So last night when it got down to 12 degrees, the milk was fine sitting out all night. I'm very glad.
Either that or Santa Claus is over by the side of the house puking.
That could be happening as well. Yeah, I worry about.
Like Jesus, I'm never going to this kid's house again.
Gosh. Anyway, if anyone has one more Christmas story they'd like to get in with, or a Christmas memory, a Christmas mystery. Oh, also we had in the chat room there, I believe it was TC asking about Proxima Centauri. So yeah, there have been some interesting. It's a weird situation when you have no evidence yet that is conclusive in terms of what science says we qualify as being evidence of extraterrestrial life out there, or what have you. But of course, we are looking for that. We are looking for evidence of life. We are looking for life elsewhere, maybe even beyond our solar system. Despite the fact that there are some promising leads on certain moons of certain planets within our nearest planetary neighborhood and what have you. But again, signals that astronomers have noticed, and this of course part of what we would call SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, different from just the search for extraterrestrial life, in the sense that life may be found anywhere. It could be a microbe on Enceladus, one of the many moons out there in our solar system. But what we're really, of course, most interested in is the idea that there might be intelligent life capable of communication. And if it's a great distance away, does their technological capability, more importantly, maybe does ours meet theirs? And would there be a ability for us to interact with them? So again, the question TC has there about the apparent signal from Proxima Centauri, it's one of many in the last few years that people have been looking at and saying, is this a wow signal? Again, to use a expression related to a similar past instance where many astronomers had thought we might have actually seen evidence of a radio signal being directed generally in our direction. It appeared only one time, and then we didn't see it again. Now, Caleb, you and I met a number of years ago, Dr. Antonio Paris, and he actually believes that the wow signal can be explained and that it had a mundane explanation, that there was equipment in the environment that might have accounted for what was being heard at the time. Yeah, that's a very good possibility. As far as this new one, I don't know. But I do know that, of course, we have continued to monitor these so-called fast radio bursts in recent years, or FRBs, although I suspect that there is a natural explanation as far as what is the cause behind that and why we continue to find these, and even why they may go silent for several days and then reappear, and they have this sort of repeatable behavior. I mean, it may not be that there are several alien civilizations all around going, guys, we're here and targeting us. That would be fairly anthropocentric and egocentric, I think, in fact, even for humans to think that we would be special in the sense that there would be so many civilizations trying to target us. But again, I think that the likely explanation is that there is life out there. I don't know that we have necessarily found good evidence in terms of fast radio bursts, radio signals of anomalous origin, what have you, that clearly indicates that. But on the subject of possible alien life, as we're wrapping up here, Caleb, something that we have been talking about a lot lately, you and I, and Charlotte has been so kind as to indulge our many deep conversations, even though she's interested in it too.
She's been going down the rabbit hole too. She's had no choice.
I know, yeah. I know.
Charlotte has a huge legitimate interest in this as well. And as far as I've seen a lot of different explanations as to what the radio signals could be. I've heard people saying anything to where like actual microwaves here on Earth could be interfering with that and potentially causing some sort of seeming, communication from outside our solar system. But what I will say is that whether those things are legitimized or not, I think that some of the most credible evidence that we have right now is some of the videos that were released earlier in the year, some of the things that came back that David Fravor saw firsthand. I mean, we've had government entities admit multiple times we don't know what this is. Mm-hmm. And I think that we can just take a look at that, take a look at the decades worth of stories that we have from people from J. Allen Hynek to God, I don't even know. I mean, just the years and years and years of reports of these things, and just recognize that now we finally have some very credible, from very credible sources, video evidence of something outside of a technological prowess that we have. So I think we need to look at that and just be like, okay, what can we gather from these videos? What can we gather from the stories of the people that saw these firsthand? And I feel like that's probably the most tangible place that we can kind of springboard off of. And I truly believe, I obviously have no insider information, but I truly believe that in the next coming years, the government is going to be very much more forthcoming with information regarding UFOs and or extraterrestrial contact. I think it's honestly going to come through in a form that is unceremonious, just like it was this past year, of how they were like, oh yeah, these are videos of UFOs and we don't know what they are. Like, it was the most unceremonious thing ever, and it was the closest thing to disclosure we've ever seen.
Yeah, disclosure can be had. Charlotte, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, no, there's no downplaying it. I think that people respond to sensationalism so much that it just wasn't on everyone's radar. So yeah, I think that this is going to open up a lot of avenues. We need people resources on board. It seems like we have so many talented people out there who just haven't been able to get a job in this sort of thing because it's, mom and dad said not to, or whatever it is. But anyway, I'm just excited about where this could go.
I am too. Recently, and we were talking about this on the car ride earlier, John Brennan, former CIA director, had been asked by podcaster Tyler Cowen about UFOs and about the videos and, what he thought about this, if anything. I found it very interesting. And in fact, John Greenwald at the Black Vault actually excerpted the portion of the conversation, and he's put that on his YouTube channel. And if you go over to my website where I have my podcasts, I have that linked in the show notes for the most recent edition, where I kind of did a deep dive looking at the CIA's involvement with UFOs, because the subject has interested me for a long time. But to hear a former CIA director, and one fairly recent like Brennan, to hear him coming onto a podcast like this, and they maybe only talked about it for 3 or 4 minutes, but it was pretty significant. I mean, hearing Cowan talking about UFOs and supposing that, well, you should really know what the weather was like and what other kinds of factors might account for what was seen. But in sum total, he ends up saying, I wouldn't be surprised really if in the next few years there are phenomena that we find were far more exotic than we expected. And he certainly implied, at very least from his own perspective, as a self-ascribed agnostic, this is what Brennan calls himself, but he said, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see evidence of life and something, that we might qualify as being life behind whatever the phenomena is. Very interesting statements, I have to say. And again, I don't know that he was necessarily alluding to anything that he knows or that the CIA has taken interest in. Again, if you look at the history of what has been disclosed by the Central Intelligence Agency with their own documents, Richard Haynes, their official historian back in the early 1990s, had written I think it was written in the late 1990s, but he documented the history of CIA involvement in UFOs and their interest also in the U.S. Air Force programs like Blue Book over the years. I don't know that the CIA necessarily has been all that interested, especially since the 1990s. And so I wasn't surprised that Brennan didn't seem to have any kind of additional information on the topic, and hence why it not being maybe an objective for the CIA to look at this topic, that he has something to say about it. Apart from the work I did, I've seen those videos. It's very interesting. Nothing would surprise me at this point. And I think it was hopeful that he was as open-minded as he was, but I hope that in the future we also see more government officials, more people in elected positions in government, people, also in positions like Brennan, who are working in the intelligence community, people who are working in all different walks of life. Really, I hope that there is more interest put toward this, because if the anecdotal evidence, which is comprised, UFO literature, which many would say is little more than the equivalent of folklore from over the years, I would differ based on the instrumental data, of course. You have visuals that are sometimes in the literature, actually, that we read about Blue Book, in data even from before that, dating back to the late 1940s, visuals sometimes that are corroborated by radar. Anyway, we could talk about the technology all night, but I mean, the point is that if all of that information from over the decades that many would liken to folklore, if we begin to see that corroborated yet again, like radar did in the late 1940s, today, new technology helps us to kind of understand this and visualize the phenomenon a little better. Maybe we will begin to see that this is something that should be studied, whatever it is. I try to be agnostic like Brennan, but whatever it may end up being, there could be something worthy of study and something that I think that could actually move science forward. Guys, I think we have had a fantastic conversation tonight, but it is about time for us to put the old Yule log on the fire finally and maybe call it a night. So I want to thank everybody out there who called in and who joined us there in the chat room, Lash and Bobby and all the fine folks out there who have participated in the program tonight. It really means a lot to us. We send season's greetings to all of you guys. Happy holidays. However it is that you and yours celebrate, it certainly has been special, and you have made it very special for the Hanks family and the lovely Lady Charlotte here tonight. Guys, closing thoughts. Charlotte, ladies first.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining us. Let's do this again next year. Same phone number, I don't know, but I would say just meet us again here this time next year.
Somehow we've had this same number for years now, Caleb, and it's
I know.
kind of amazing. Yeah.
Well, I will say, guys, gals, we are so close to a new year, and I think that everybody can be very happy about that. We made it. My heart goes out to loved ones lost in 2020. It's been a hell of a year. I'm so glad that, everybody that joined us tonight was able to join. And I'll just leave you with this. If the aliens wanted to harm us at all, they would have done it already. And so I sleep soundly every night knowing that they are so technologically advanced. If they wanted to blow us up, they would have done it. They seem super peaceful, and I think that we could take a note out of their book. We can get along on this planet. They can too, and we all can live peacefully together. Merry Christmas to all. Happy New Year, and to all a good night. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
That's right. Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever it is that you are out there. I hope it's wonderful, whatever is in your glass. I know here in a few hours, I'm going to have some coffee in mine. I'm going to need some. after this. Guys, it has been my pleasure. Caleb, Charlotte, thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all you guys out there. Truly, it has been a blast. It has been a pleasure. And we hope to see you again next year here for the Hanks Brothers Christmas Extravaganza.